Welcome to Sakshi Education. This is Dr. Moses, Emily Academy, Hyderabad. Dear teacher job aspirants, according to Right to Education Act 2009, Section 23, Subsection 1, based on the guidelines of National Council for Teacher Education and according to the National Educational Policy 2020 recommendations, TET, Teacher Eligibility Test, and Central Teacher Eligibility Test is mandatory to become teacher in central government schools and state government schools. So in order to become teacher in Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalayas, railway schools, Sainik schools, army schools, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, in state government residential schools or Jilla Parishad schools, CTET and TET is mandatory. Dear teacher job aspirants, do you know the pass percentage of CTET? In 2021 January CTET, the 14th edition CTET, out of 16 lakhs, only 4 lakhs candidates are qualified in paper 1. Regarding to paper 2, out of 14 lakhs, only 3 lakhs candidates are qualified. Because most of the teacher job aspirants do not focus on child development and pedagogy. In CTET and TET examination, child development and pedagogy consists of 30 marks. Subject pedagogy consists of 60 marks. So try to focus on child development and pedagogy, subject pedagogy, so that you will crack CTET and TET examination and you can become teacher in central government schools and state government schools. So what is child development and pedagogy? Why child development pedagogy knowledge is required to the teacher? So what is the syllabus for child development and pedagogy? So what are the various reference books? So this lecture will give key to how to prepare for child development and pedagogy and how to crack TET and CTET examination. So watch this video till ending so that you will get minimum 5 marks out of 30 in child development and pedagogy. Child development and pedagogy consists of 4 important areas. The first one is child development. The second one is learning. The third one is inclusive education. And the fourth one is pedagogy. Child development unit will give to, so what is the behavior of the learner? Important changes in behavior. Second one, learning. Learning means relatively permanent change in behavior that occurs due to experience. Inclusive education means included everyone in the classroom irrespective of their abilities and disabilities. And pedagogy, the science of teaching and learning for the children. A potter has to understand the nature of clay. A blacksmith has to understand the nature of iron. A carpenter has to understand the nature of wood. A police officer has to understand the nature of criminal. A doctor has to understand the problem of the patient. A lawyer has to understand the problem or client case, civil or criminal case. In classroom, in school situations, teacher should understand the behavior of the learners. The first one, child development and pedagogy. So the first topic is growth, development, maturation and learning. So growth is a quantitative process. Development is a qualitative process. Changes related to height, weight, width and external and internal organs is called growth. Development means systematic changes or qualitative changes that occur in the individual due to heredity and environment is called development. Maturity, age or stage specific characteristics or changes in the individual that occur due to inherited forces like genes and hormones is called maturation. Then what is the meaning of learning? Relatively permanent change in behavior that occurs due to experience is called learning. So there are 3 important aspects in the concept of learning. Change in behavior. Behavior may be cognitive domain, affective domain, psychomotor domain. That change should be relatively permanent. Some temporary changes are there. For example, when a person consumes alcohol, he exhibits temporary changes. When a person is in coma or when a person is in fatigue, exhibit temporary changes. So change should be relatively permanent. For example, reading and writing. Point number 1, change in behavior. Behavior may be related to cognitive, affective and psychomotor domain. That change should be relatively permanent and that change should occur through experience. Experience may be in the form of lecture method, lecture cum demonstration method, historical method, project method, laboratory method, heuristic method, problem solving approach, inductive method, deductive method, analysis method, synthesis method, source method, storytelling method, or in the form of discussion or socialized recitation method, any form of experience. Experience may be learning by imitation, learning by doing, learning by listening, learning by participation, any kind of experience. Point number 1, change in behavior. That behavior should be relatively permanent and that change should occur based on the experience. So maturity means age-specific characteristics. Maturity into learning is equal to development. Development may be cognitive development, social development, emotional development, or language development. So the first topic is growth, development, maturity, and learning. So in order to learn psychology, you should not use cramming method or by-heart method. You should learn concepts. You should understand the relationship between the concepts, differences of the concepts, similarities in between the concepts, and you have to give some examples for these concepts. Then only you can command over the subject child development and pedagogy. So the most repeated topic in competitive examinations is principles of development. So based on the longitudinal and cross-sectional research, psychologists proposed some principles of development. So development is a continuous process. Development follows an orderly sequence. Development is individualized process. Development proceeds from general to specific. Development follows in a directional, cephalocaudal directional and proximo-distal direction. And development is not uniform in all stages. Development is cumulative. Development is interrelated. We can predict development, and development is influenced by two factors, heredity and environment. So in order to nurture a plant as a tree, two important factors are important. First one, soil, the second one, seed. So we can compare seed with heredity, soil with environment. Heredity is also called nature theory and environment is also called nurture theory. So in order to understand the child development, as a would-be teacher, professional teacher, you must understand the influence of heredity and environment on the development of the child. So next area, the influence of nature and nurture or heredity and environment on the students. What is the meaning of heredity? Characteristics inherited from parents, grandparents and great-grandparents is called heredity. Environment means all the factors that affect the child except genes is called environment. Environment can be classified into two types, prenatal environment and postnatal environment. So there are some psychologists, those who argued in favor of heredity. Sir Francis Galton, H.H. Goddard, Dr. Winship, and Allport, Mrs. and Mr. Kellogg. So these are the important psychologists, those who argued in favor of heredity. Particularly, Sir Francis Galton, he published a book, Hereditary Genius. He established the positive relationship between heredity and intelligence. Second one, some psychologists, those who are in favor of environment. For example, J.B. Watson. He gave a sensational statement in the beginning of 20th century. Give me a dozen infants, I can make them as doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, clergymen, even though dacoits and thieves, by providing appropriate environment, irrespective of their hereditary traits. So in these two topics, you should understand what is the meaning of growth. Growth is related to physical aspects. Development is related to qualitative changes. Growth can stop at particular stage, but development is a lifelong process. It goes from mother's womb to tomb. We can measure growth, but we can't measure development. Maturity, for example, creeping, crawling, sitting, standing, primary and secondary sexual characteristics. So these changes are related to maturity. Reading and writing, swimming, knowledge, attitudes, interest. So these are all related to learning. Next, principles of development, followed by heredity and environment. The next area in child development is stages of development. According to Elizabeth Harlock, in her publication Developmental Psychology, Elizabeth Harlock classified human development into 10 stages. So birth to 2 weeks, infancy; 2 weeks to 2 years, babyhood; 3 to 5 years, early childhood; 6 to 10 years, late childhood; 11 to 13 years, puberty; 13 to 17 years, early adolescence; 18 to 21, late adolescence; 21 to 40, you are all belong to this stage, I think. 21 to 40, adulthood; 41 to 60, middle age; and 60 above old age. Paper 1 aspirants in TET and CTET should focus on late childhood because you are supposed to teach late childhood children. Paper 2 aspirants in TET and CTET examination should focus on adolescent psychology because you are supposed to teach secondary school students. So stages of development, out of all these 10 stages, 5 stages are very important. First one, babyhood; second one, early childhood; the third one, late childhood; and fourth one, puberty; and the fifth one is adolescence. So you have to study all these 5 stages with special reference to dimensions of development: physical development, language development, mental development, emotional development, social development, moral development, and sexual development, with special reference to all these 5 stages, so that you will get 1 mark in this area, child development and pedagogy. So if you want more information regarding to child development and pedagogy, so you can download Emily Academy mobile app, EMILY, Emily Academy mobile app from Play Store. So you will get more professional videos regarding to child development and pedagogy. You can get 100 plus video classes, 2000 topic-wise practice bits, and 200 pages digital material. So remember, Emily Academy, you can download from mobile Play Store for more information. Come to the point, we have been discussing child development and pedagogy. Next area is theories of development. So very important. So the first one is cognitive development. There are 2 terms, cognition and development. Cognition means mental processes or functions of the brain, and development means systematic changes in the individual that occur due to heredity and environment. Cognitive development theory was proposed by Jean Piaget, a Swiss child psychologist. He published more than 150 books on child psychology. Jean Piaget observed his own 3 children over a period of years and proposed 4 stages in cognitive development. So before going to discuss all these 4 stages, you should remember key terms in Jean Piaget cognitive development. The first one is schema, second one is adaptation, the third one is assimilation, the fourth one is accommodation, fifth one is equilibrium. So schemas means ideas, mental templates, cognitive structures, behavioral patterns. So these schemas are influenced by 2 important factors. One is biological maturity, second one adaptation. Adaptation means interaction with the social, home and school environment. So adaptation has 2 principles. One is assimilation, second one accommodation. Assimilation means if a student compares a new concept with already existing schema, it is called assimilation. If a student modifies his existing schema, it is called accommodation. For example, after learning C for cat, if a child compares cat with a tiger when he is watching a movie, it is called assimilation. After knowing the differences between cat and tiger, if he invites a new concept in his brain, tiger, which it means accommodation. Assimilation means comparing the past knowledge with the new knowledge. Accommodation means after knowing the differences between the existing schema and new information, If he learns a new concept, it is called accommodation. Accommodation and assimilation together facilitates schema, and schema and biological maturity together facilitates cognitive development. Cognitive development theory was proposed by Jean Piaget. So what is the meaning of equilibrium? If past knowledge and present knowledge has balance, if there is a balance between past knowledge and present knowledge, it is called equilibrium. Otherwise, it is called disequilibrium. So there are 4 distinct stages in cognitive development. The first one is sensory motor stage. The duration of sensory motor stage in between birth to 2 years. In 1952, Jean Piaget classified sensory motor stage into 6 substages. The first one is simple reflexes. The second one is primary circular reactions. Third one is secondary circular reactions. Fourth one is coordination of secondary circular reactions. Fifth one is tertiary circular reactions. And the sixth one is internalization of schemas. So in sensory motor stage, you should remember one important concept, object permanence. Up to 8 months, the child doesn't know the concept of object permanence, but after 8 months, the child understands object permanence. Up to 8 months, the child doesn't know what is object permanence. What is out of sight is out of mind for the child. But after 8 months, the child can understand what is object permanence. And second stage is pre-operational period. The duration of pre-operational period is in between 2 to 7 years. Again, it can be classified into 2 substages, pre-conceptual and intuition stage. The duration of pre-conceptual is in between 2 to 4 years, and intuition period is 4 to 7 years. In pre-conceptual, we can observe 4 important concepts. One is symbolic play, second one egocentrism, the third one is animism, and the fourth one is transactive thinking. So non-logical thinking is called transactive thinking. It is neither inductive nor deductive. In intuition period, the child fails to understand 2 concepts. One is conservation, second one reverse of thought. The third stage in Jean Piaget cognitive development is concrete operational period. Concrete operational period duration is 7 to 11 years. Most of the 2nd class to 6th class students belong to this stage. In concrete operational period, the child is able to use inductive reasoning. He can understand the concept of conservation. He is in a position to understand reversible thought and classification of objects. The last one is abstract operational period or formal operational period. The duration of formal operational period is in between 11 to 16 years. Most of the secondary schools teachers should understand formal operational period because they are supposed to teach 6th class students, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th students, as well as intermediate students. Right from 11 to and 16 years, the duration of pre-operational period. Here, the child is in position to use problem solving ability. He frames hypothesis to solve a problem. Child can use deductive reasoning. He can establish the relationship between cause and effect, and all the cognitive abilities reach its peak stage during formal operational period. So this is brief outlines of Jean Piaget cognitive development theory. Next important theory, moral development theory. Moral development theory was proposed by Lawrence Kohlberg. Lawrence Kohlberg, who was a professor at Harvard University in USA. Based on the moral dilemmas, Lawrence Kohlberg classified human moral development into 3 levels, 6 stages. So this is very important theory for CTET examinations and TET examination. 3 levels, pre-conventional level, second one conventional level, the third one is post-conventional level. Conventions means rules of the society, norms of the society. So these rules and norms of the society are not yet developed up to 10 years. That's why 4 to 10 years is called pre-conventional level. 10 to 13 years conventional level. After 13 years, due to cognitive maturity, cognitive development, due to higher cognitive abilities, the child follows not only conventions of the society but also universal ethical principles and personal principles. That's why the third level is called post-conventional level. Each level again can be classified into two stages. Stage 1, morality of constructs or morality to avoid punishment. Second stage, morality of satisfying needs. These two stages are related to pre-conventional level. In conventional level, stage 3, good boy, good girl orientation. Stage 4, obedience to authority or to follow social order. In post-conventional level, stage 5, morality based on rational thinking or social contract orientation or individual rights, and stage 6, universal ethical principles. So these are the three important levels and 6 stages in Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory. So next one, in TET examination, this theory is very important. Psychoanalysis theory, which was proposed by Sigmund Freud. According to Sigmund Freud, human personality consists of some dimensions. The first one is structure of personality. Id, ego, superego. Id is influenced by principle of pleasure. Ego is influenced by principle of reality, and superego is influenced by principle of morality. So id is biological component of personality. Ego is psychological component of personality, and superego is moral arm of the personality. Sigmund Freud classified human dynamics of personality into 3 states: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. According to Freud, our unconscious motives, experiences influence external behavior. According to father of psychology Wilhelm Wundt, father of modern psychology William James, psychology is study of conscious. But according to Freud, psychology is study of unconscious experiences. So the true personality lies in unconscious personality, unconscious mind. The third dimension in Freud theory is psychosexual stages of development. According to Freud, it consists of libido. Libido is a sexual instinct. This sexual instinct is satisfied in different forms in these 5 stages. The first one is oral stage. Birth to 1 year, mouth plays important role to satisfy libido. The second one, 1 to 3 years, anal stage. Anus plays important role to satisfy libido. The third one is phallic stage, 3 to 5 years. Here, by touching genital organs, children get much pleasure. Here, we can observe 2 important complexes: Oedipus complex, Electra complex. Oedipus complex means if boy likes mother and dislikes father, it is called Oedipus complex. If girl likes father and dislikes mother, it is called Electra complex, which we can see during phallic stage. In between 6 to 10 years, it is called latency period, followed by genital period in between 11 to till adolescence. So these are the important stages in psychosexual development. So proper psychosexual development leads to integrated personality. If libido is not satisfied, all these repressed feelings again awaken during adolescence period. The next theory is psychosocial development theory. So man is a social animal. Social development is determined by different plays. For example, solitary play. At the age of 1.5 years, child involves in solitary play. In between 3 to 5 years, child enjoys parallel play, associative play, and cooperative play. Parallel play means playing by imitating each other. Associative play means imagining life-to-day experiences in the process of play. Cooperative play means exchanging toys. If children exchange their toys with mutual cooperation, it is called cooperative play. So these plays are very important in the process of socialization. Psychosocial development theory was proposed by Erik Erikson. Erik Erikson was a neo-Freudian. He disagreed with Freud. Freud emphasized id, but Erikson laid emphasis on ego. Freud's psychosexual development consists of 5 stages, but Erik Erikson's psychosocial development stages consist of 8 stages. According to Sigmund Freud, up to 10 years, childhood is very important in order to develop personality. But according to Erikson, personality development is a lifelong process. In each stage, the child meets with a conflict. So, based on that conflict, he may develop a positive trait or a negative trait. According to Erikson, there are 8 stages: birth to 1 year infancy, 2 to 3 years babyhood, 3 to 5 years play age, 6 to 12 years school age, 12 to 20 years adolescence, 20 to 30 young adulthood, 30 to 60 middle adulthood, and above 60 years maturity stage. In each stage, the person meets a challenge. So in order to solve the challenge, he develops certain personality traits. So the next one is in TET examination, language development theory. According to Noam Chomsky, human beings acquire language in a little span of time due to LAD, language acquisition device. If a cat and human child is exposed to the same linguistic environment, human child can acquire language easily when compared with animals. For example, cat cannot develop language. That's why Chomsky strongly criticized school of behaviorism. Most of the behavioral psychologists, they conducted experiments on animals and they attributed the implications of all these experiments on human language learning. So Chomsky coined the term universal grammar theory, language acquisition device, and nativist perspectives on language. So according to Chomsky, without much schooling and exposure, any child in the world acquires listening and speaking skills in his mother tongue, followed by self-development theory. You know, selfie. Everyone takes selfie, but you don't know the concept of self-concept. So Carl Rogers belongs to School of Humanism. The father of humanism was Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow classified human needs into 5 types. Physiological needs like food, water, air, rest, excretion, and sex. Second one, safety needs. For example, security, home, bank balance, and insurance. Third one, love and belonging needs. Loved and to be loved, friendship. Next one, self-esteem needs. Esteem means respect. Self-respect and social respect. The last one is self-actualization. The term self-actualization was extracted from Kurt Goldstein. Abraham Maslow coined the term self-actualization. He extracted the term self-actualization from Kurt Goldstein. What is the meaning of self-actualization? Self-fulfillment. If a teacher becomes a great teacher like Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, it is self-actualization. If a musician becomes like a great musician like A.R. Rahman, it is called self-actualization. If a cricketer becomes great cricketer like Sachin Tendulkar, it is called self-actualization. Sachin Tendulkar failed in English in 10th standard, but today the first lesson of Maharashtra state syllabus in English is about biography of Sachin Tendulkar. It is self-actualization. So, according to Carl Rogers' self-development theory, the purpose of human life to achieve self-actualization. Self-actualization can be achieved through congruity. So, what is the meaning of congruity? There is a little gap between ideal self-concept and real self-concept. If there is a gap between ideal self-concept and real self-concept, it is called incongruity. So, congruity, unconditional positive regard, and empathy, these 3 important factors determine self-development of the child. So self-concept means awareness about oneself. Self-control means controlling weaknesses of the persons or negative emotions of the person. Self-esteem means respect. It can be classified into 2 types, self-respect and social respect. And self-actualization means self-fulfillment. These are the important terms in Carl Rogers' theory. So followed by developmental task. Developmental task proposed by Robert Hawinghurst. According to Robert Hawinghurst, there are 6 important stages in human life regarding to Developmental Task and Hazards. So these are the important theories related to child development. Number one, Jean Piaget cognitive development theory, which consists of 4 stages: sensory motor stage, birth to 1 year, birth to 2 years, pre-operational period 2 to 7 years, concrete operational period 7 to 11 years, abstract operational or formal operational period 11 to 16 years. The second theory, moral development theory, which was proposed by Lawrence Kohlberg. There are 3 levels in moral development: pre-conventional level 4 to 10 years, conventional level 11 to 13 years, and post-conventional level, so 14 to till adolescence. Each level consists of 2 stages, so there are 3 levels and 6 stages. So followed by psychoanalysis. According to Sigmund Freud, there are 5 important stages in human psychosexual development. Followed by psychosocial development theory, which was proposed by Erik Erikson. According to Erikson, in human social development, there are 8 stages. So followed by language development, there are 4 important stages in language development. First one, pre-language period. Second one, babbling period. The third one, language imitation or one-word stage. And the fourth one, language comprehensive period. Followed by self-development theory proposed by Rogers, developmental task proposed by Robert Havinghurst. So you should remember these names. Elizabeth Harlock, developmental psychology, she classified human development into 10 stages. Jean Piaget classified human cognitive development into 4 stages. And Kohlberg classified human moral development into 6 stages. And Freud, he classified human sexual development into 5 stages. Followed by Erikson classified human social development into 8 stages. Followed by language development can be classified into 4 stages. Remember, number 4, 5, 6, 8 and 10. Number 4 is related to Jean Piaget cognitive development stages. 4 stages are there. And language development also 4 stages are there. Number 5, Sigmund Freud classified human sexual development into 5 stages: oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital period. Jean Piaget classified human cognitive development into 4 stages: sensory motor stage, pre-operational period, concrete operational period, abstract operational period. And language development consists of 4 stages: pre-language stage and babbling stage, one word or sound imitation stage, the last one language comprehensive stage, followed by 5. Then 6. Lawrence Kohlberg classified human moral development into 6 stages and 3 levels. The significance of age. Erik Erikson classified human social development into 8 stages: infancy, babyhood, play stage, school age, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and maturity stage. Followed by 10. Number 10. The significance of number 10, Elizabeth Harlock classified human development into 10 stages: infancy, babyhood, early childhood, late childhood, puberty, early adolescence, late adolescence, adulthood, middle age, and old age. For more information, so you can download Emily Academy mobile app from Play Store. It consists of Child Development and Pedagogy course, which has 100 video classes, 2000 topic-wise practice bits, and 200 pages digital study material for TET and CTET exclusively for English medium students. Come to the point. Next area in child development and pedagogy is individual differences. Democratically, we are equal, but physically, psychologically, we are unequal. Differential psychology deals with individual differences. The father of differential psychology was Sir Francis Galton. Sir Francis Galton published a book on individual differences in 1883, that is, an inquiry into human faculty and its development. So individual differences can be classified into 2 types: intra-individual differences and inter-individual differences. Intra-individual differences means differences are variations in 2 abilities within the individual. Inter-individual differences means differences are variations in between 2 students or among students related to one single ability. For example, Raju good at speaking but he is poor in writing. Emily is good at drawing but she is poor in mathematics. It is intra-individual differences. So there are individual differences with regard to intelligence, like idiots, imbeciles, morons, dullards, average, superiors, very superiors, and gifted. So these are all inter-individual differences. So what are the educational implications of individual differences? Teacher should focus on average students in regular classroom teaching. In alternative classroom teaching, he can organize remedial classes for the backward students, enrichment material for the gifted students. And teacher should adapt child-centered methods like playway method, activity method, then heuristic method, laboratory method, project method, so that we can cater individual differences in the classroom, particularly in inclusive education system. In inclusive education system, everyone is included in the same classroom roof, irrespective of their abilities and disabilities. So individual differences with regarding to intelligence. So next area is intelligence. So what is the meaning of intelligence? According to Terman, abstract thinking is intelligence. According to Buckingham, learning ability is intelligence. According to Spearman, the ability to see relations. According to Galton, perceptual ability or grasping ability is intelligence. According to Jean Piaget, the ability to adapt to physical and social environment is called intelligence. But a comprehensive definition is given by an American psychologist, David Wessler. Intelligence is global capacity of an individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to adjust effectively to the environment. So try to remember the comprehensive definition is given by David Wessler, an American psychologist who was a doctor at Bellevue Hospital in America. Intelligence is global capacity of an individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, to adjust effectively to the environment. So in this topic, we have to understand the meaning of intelligence, nature of intelligence, and types of intelligence. According to Thorndike, intelligence can be classified into three types. Concrete intelligence, it is also called mechanical intelligence. Second one, abstract intelligence, and the third one is social intelligence. Most of the verbal test measures abstract intelligence. Most of the non-verbal test in intelligence measure concrete intelligence. According to Howard Gardner, intelligence can be classified into 8 types. In 1983, Howard Gardner published a book, The Frames of Mind, the Multiple Intelligence Theory. The Frames of Mind, the Multiple Intelligence Theory. In his book, Howard Gardner classified human intelligence into 8 types. He strongly opposed the concept of general intelligence and intelligence quotient, which was proposed by Binet, Stern, and Terman. So the first one is linguistic intelligence. Most of the poets, writers consist of linguistic intelligence. Second one, mathematics and logical intelligence. Scientists, engineers, mathematicians like Shakuntala Devi consist of this kind of intelligence, mathematics and logical intelligence. Visual and spatial intelligence. So most of the art directors and artists, photographers, pilots, sailors, sculptors consist of visual and spatial intelligence. Then musical intelligence. So most of the singers, sound engineers, musicians consist of musical intelligence. Next one, bodily kinesthetic intelligence. So ability to control the body, so ability to use body precisely is called bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This kind of intelligence is well developed in dancers, martial arts experts, yoga experts, and actors, sports persons. Next one, intrapersonal intelligence. Most of the self-actualizers consist of intrapersonal intelligence. For example, SWOT analysis, S for strengths, W for weakness, O for opportunities, T for threats. S for strength of a person, W for weakness of a person, O for opportunities and threats. If a person analyzes himself, his weaknesses, his own strengths, it is called intrapersonal intelligence, followed by interpersonal intelligence. So what is the meaning of interpersonal intelligence? So ability to maintain interpersonal relations, human relations in social context. Most of the political leaders, businessmen, social workers, clergy consist of interpersonal intelligence, followed by naturalistic intelligence, farmers, experts in agriculture, animal lovers, pet lovers, and nature lovers consist of naturalistic intelligence. So these are the 8 types of intelligences classified by Howard Gardner in his publication, The Frames of Mind, the Multiple Intelligence Theory. In this topic, intelligence, measurement of intelligence, the concept of mental age was proposed by Alfred Binet. The concept of IQ was proposed by a German psychologist, William Sten. What is the formula for IQ? MA by CA into 100. Mental age is divided by chronological age, and the data multiplied with 100, the quotient is intelligence quotient. Then the distribution of IQ, 0 to 29 idiots, 30 to 49 imbeciles, 50 to 69 morons, 70 to 89 dullards, 90 to 109 average, and 110 to 119 superior, 120 to 139 very superior, 140 above gifted. So these are all distribution of IQ. And types of intelligence test, verbal and non-verbal test. Most of the verbal test, language specific test, non-verbal test, language free test. Then based on the administration of the test, intelligence test can be classified into 2 types, individual test and group test. So based on the responses of the subject in lab, it can be classified into 2 types, paper pencil test and performance test. Based on the duration of the time, based on the nature of the test items, intelligence test can be classified into 2 types, power test and speed test. In speed test, there is stipulated time to complete items of intelligence test. Whereas in power test, questions are arranged from simple to complex. Again, test can be classified into 2 types, culture free test and culture specific test. And there are some intelligence tests. You can remember all these tests by repeating my video. Stanford Binet test. It is a verbal test, individual test, paper pencil test and power test. First one, Binet-Simon test. It is a verbal test, individual test and paper pencil test and power test. The second one, Stanford Binet test. It is a verbal test, group test, paper pencil test and power test. Kalman-Anderson test. It's a verbal test, group test, paper pencil test and power test. What is Grama test? It is a verbal test, group test, paper pencil test and power test. During First World War, Professor Yates developed 2 types of tests, Army Alpha test and Army Beta test. Army Alpha test is a verbal test, Army Beta test is a non-verbal test. Army Alpha test is a paper pencil test, Army Beta test is a performance test. Army Alpha and Army Beta, both tests are group test and speed test. Followed by Pintner-Patterson scale. Pintner-Patterson scale is a non-verbal test, individual test, performance test and power test. Followed by draw a person test. Florence Goodenough developed this test, draw a person test. It is a non-verbal test, group test, performance test and power test. The test which is used widely in the field of research in psychology and education is Raven's progressive matrices test. Raven's progressive matrices test is a non-verbal test and group test, paper pencil test and power test. Followed by Bhatia's battery of intelligence test. It is a non-verbal test, individual test, performance test and speed test. Next, Alexander Pasalan test. It is a non-verbal test, individual test, performance test and speed test. Followed by Koch's block design test. Koch's block design test is a non-verbal test, individual test, performance test, speed test. So next one is Wechsler intelligence scale for children. Again, it can be classified into 2 types, Wechsler verbal test and Wechsler non-verbal test. These are the important intelligence tests. In intelligence topic, you have to study definitions and meaning of intelligence, nature of intelligence, then types of intelligence. Thorndike classified intelligence into 3 types and Howard Gardner classified intelligence into 8 types. So the next area, emotional intelligence. The word emotion is derived from a Latin word, emovere, which means stirred up stage. The word emotion is derived from a Latin word emovere, which means stirred up stage. So emotions can be classified into two types: positive emotions and negative emotions. Positive emotions are love, joy, self-motivation, achievement motivation, self-confidence, and happiness. Negative emotions are crying, hatredness, jealousy, anxiety, stress, depression, anger, fear. So emotional intelligence. So ability to know one's emotions and understanding others' emotions, controlling negative emotions using positive emotions. The term emotional intelligence was coined by Wayne Leon Payne for the first time in the history of psychology in 1985 in his PhD thesis. In 1990, John Mayer and Peter Salovey published an article on emotional intelligence. In 1995, Daniel Goleman published a book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. So, according to Daniel Goleman, 80% of success lies in emotional intelligence, the rest 20 lies in IQ. So, emotional intelligence is very important to crack CTET and TET examination and to become a government teacher. So, you may have good IQ, memory power, but due to a lack of controlling the emotions, you could not get job in previous examinations. So try to watch all these videos, Sakshi education videos and Emily Educational Academy professional videos, so that you will get self-confidence. You can overcome overconfidence and low confidence. Come to the point, emotional intelligence. According to Daniel Goleman, there are 5 dimensions in emotional intelligence. 3 are intrapersonal, 2 are interpersonal. So what are the 3 intrapersonal emotional intelligences? Self-awareness. Second one, self-control. The third one is self-motivation. Next one, interpersonal. Interpersonal means empathy and social skills. So these are the important areas in intelligence. Next topic in child development and pedagogy is aptitude. Today, parents are joining their children in various courses based on the attitude of the society and attitude of the parents rather than attitude of the children. So what is the meaning of aptitude? So aptitude is inborn ability, specific ability. It is prerequisite ability to enter in a course or to select a job. So in aptitude we have to understand aptitude test like differential aptitude test and general aptitude test followed by attitude. Attitude means a tendency to react either positive or negative towards an object, person, event or situation. So attitudes are not inborn, attitudes are learned, but aptitude is inborn. Aptitude is different from attitude. Aptitude is inborn ability, so attitude is the opinion of a person. The opinion may be positive or negative opinion towards a particular aspect like a course or a person or an object. Some people they think so teaching is a lower profession. Some people may think so teaching is a noble profession. Teaching is the only one profession that creates all the professions. 100 doctors cannot make a teacher. 100 lawyers cannot make a teacher. 100 engineers cannot make a teacher. 100 film directors cannot make a teacher. 100 software engineers cannot make a teacher. 100 IAS officers, 100 IPS officers cannot make a teacher. If a teacher believes himself throughout his career, he creates all these persons. That's why teaching is the only one profession that creates all professions. So there was a saying, there was a sloka, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. So Indian teacher has high reputation in the society but low remuneration in the school. Anyhow, come to the point, change your attitude towards teaching profession. So if you crack CTET examination, TET examination, if you get good marks in TRT, you will become a government teacher. You can enjoy 4 hours. You can enjoy 4 hours. The first one is reputation. Second one is remuneration. The third one is recreation. The fourth one, relaxation. So in order to enjoy all these 4 hours, you should have 3 C's. The first one, content knowledge. Content. Second one, communication. The third one, competency. Discussing child development and pedagogy. So next area is creativity. So very important area in CTET and TET examination. Creativity means to produce something new, totally or partially, novel identity. So something new. So creativity is also called divergent thinking, innovative thinking, out of box thinking. So to know creativity, there are three important qualities. First one, fluency, number of ideas, flexibility, so ideas, unique ideas in stereotyped situations, and originality, unique ideas. So based on these three qualities, we can assess creativity. So there are four important stages in creativity process. The first one, preparation. The second one, incubation. The third one, insight or illumination. And the fourth one is verification. According to Graham Wells, there are four important stages in creativity. Graham Wells classified four stages in creativity in his book, The Art of Thought. First one, preparation. Second one, incubation. Third one, illumination. Fourth one, verification. So how to nurture creativity? By using brainstorming technique. So brainstorming means storming the brain or generating ideas in the brain, which was proposed by Alex Osborne. So the next important area in CTET examination and TET examination, types of thinking. So language, past experiences, images are source for our thinking. So thinking can be classified into different types. Convergent thinking, divergent thinking. So thinking in one dimension is convergent thinking. So thinking in different ways is called divergent thinking. Next one, concrete thinking and abstract thinking. So thinking about concrete experiences is called concrete thinking. So thinking about abstract ideas is called abstract thinking. For example, pen is a concrete, paradise is abstract. Hen is concrete, heaven is abstract. Next one, soul is abstract, stick is concrete. So thinking about concrete objects is concrete thinking. Thinking about ideas is called abstract thinking. Again, thinking can be classified into two types: reflective thinking and rational thinking. So thinking based on past experiences is called reflective thinking. So reflective thinking is one of the important areas in formal assessment. Reflection. Sometimes student can give his own meaning to the concepts in the textbook based on his cultural, social, political and physical context. It is called reflective thinking. Rational thinking is also called logical thinking, which requires reasoning, inductive or deductive reasoning or systematic thinking. Next one is imaginative thinking. Thinking about future results. There are three types of imagination. First one, prediction. Imagination based on the experiences. Second one, hypothesis. Imagination or scientific guess towards a problem, research problem. So there is a relationship between independent and dependent variable. It's a hypothesis. So prediction, hypothesis and extrapolation. Imagination of future results based on the existing data is called extrapolation. So the higher order thinking in Anderson and Krathel model in cognitive domain is called creating. So these are the important types of thinking. Next one, important area, interest. So interest has three important aspects. The first one, attention. The second one, motivation. The third one is priority. So based on these three parameters, we can assess the interest of the students. So followed by personality. The word personality is derived from a Latin word persono, which means mask. Today everyone is wearing mask in COVID situations. The word personality is derived from a Latin word persono, which means mask. So the original meaning of personality is related to external body. But personality consists of some traits. These traits may be related to physical development, social development, language development, emotional development, and internal external traits. According to Raymond B. Cattell, there are 17,953 traits which can be attributed to human beings. In personality, we have to understand the meaning of personality, nature of personality, and assessment of personality. Assessment of personality can be classified into two types: projective techniques and non-projective techniques. Most of the followers of Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, they believe projective techniques to assess unconscious behavior. For example, Rorschach ink blot test, which was developed by Hermann Rorschach. There are 4 dimensions to assess human personality. There are 10 ink blots. For interpretation, we have to understand 4 dimensions. The first one is locality, the second one is content, the third one is determinants, and the fourth one is originality. And second one is thematic apperception test, which was developed by Murray Morgan. Children apperception test, which was developed by S. Belloc, S. L. Belloc, followed by psychodrama, and word association test, sentence completion test. So these are the important projective techniques. And non-projective techniques: interview, case study, questionnaire, personality interview, and ratings, personality inventories, rating scales, checklist, observation method, and sociometry. So these are the important tools of non-projective techniques to assess personality. So followed by child study methods. This is very important in TET examination. There are 2 approaches and 4 methods to understand child development. So what are the 2 approaches? The first one is cross-sectional approach. Second one, longitudinal approach. If observation is based on over a period of years, it is called longitudinal approach. If you select few people related to different stages and ages for a short period, it is called cross-sectional study. In these 2 approaches, we can make use of 4 methods. The first one is introspection method. Introspection method was developed by Saint Augustine and which was widely used by father of psychology Wilhelm Wundt and father of modern psychology William James. Introspection means self-observation. Second one, observation method. Observation can be classified into 4 types: participant observation, non-participant observation, natural observation, and artificial observation. Followed by case study method. A patient is case to the doctor. A client is case to the lawyer. A criminal is case to the police officer. In educational situations, a problematic student is case to the teacher. You might have seen Tare Jamin Par movie. In that movie, Ishant is a case to the teacher. He had a problem of dyslexia. He is unable to read and write properly. So thus that problem is analyzed by and given remedial measures by Amir Khan, hero. So the entire movie is based on 2 concepts: case study and dyslexia. Come to the point. What is case study? Systematic study of a problematic student. It is also called clinical method, which was developed by Sigmund Freud. And next important method, experimental method. Psychology was started at the University of Leipzig in 1879 in Germany by Wilhelm Wundt. Wilhelm Wundt established an experimental psychology laboratory at the University of Leipzig in 1879. Remember 1879. Our Emily Academy mobile number is 9515151879. The last 4 digits 1879 is related to establishment year of psychology. So remember this number for more doubts and clarifications on child development and pedagogy: 9515151879, and download Emily Academy mobile app from Play Store for more professional videos on child development and pedagogy, for more material and practice bits on child development and pedagogy. So experimental method. Experimental method is a research method and scientific method. Here you have to understand variables. Variables are 3 types: independent variable, dependent variable, and intervening variable. The cause of the experiment is independent variable. The effect of the experiment is dependent variable. So the variable which influence dependent variable except one under the consideration, that is independent variable, is called intervening variables. So independent variable means input variable, dependent variable means output variable. So you have to understand all these basics in psychology. So you should not study psychology like GK. So you should learn psychology concept wise, understand concepts, know the differences, relations, similarities, examples of these concepts, and apply all these concepts to a child life in school so that it will become applied psychology like educational psychology. So next, groups in experimental method: control group and experimental group, followed by research designs: 1 group design, 2 group design, rotation group design. So these are the important areas in development unit. So far we have been discussed. Important topics in child development unit: growth, development, maturity, and learning, followed by principles of development, followed by stages of development and theories of development: Jean Piaget, cognitive development; Lawrence Kohlberg, moral development; psychoanalysis theory proposed by Freud; psychosocial development theory, Erik Erikson; universal grammar theory, Chomsky; followed by self-development theory, Rogers; developmental task by Robert Havinghurst; followed by individual differences, areas of individual differences: intelligence, aptitude, attitude, interest, thinking, creativity, followed by human personality and methods of child study, two approaches: longitudinal approach and cross-sectional approach, followed by methods of teaching: introspection method, observation method, experimental method, and case study method. And mental health. So mental health. So there are two types of mental ill health problems: psychosis and neurosis. Neurosis are mild problems and psychosis are severe problems. So what are the mild problems in neurosis? Like anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsory disorder. So these are all mild problems. And what are the severe problems? It is called psychosis, like illusion, hallucination, delusion, insanity, dementia. So in mental health chapter, we have to understand concept of conflicts. Conflict means clash of motives. There are four types of conflicts. Approach conflict. A conflict in between two positive choices. Avoidance conflict. A conflict between two negative choices. Approach avoidance conflict. So in a given situation, there is a positive and negative choices, and double approach avoidance conflict. In two situations, there are some positive and negative choices. So these are the four types of conflicts classified by Kurt Lewin, followed by defense mechanisms. You have to understand different defense mechanisms. These mechanisms are proposed by Sigmund Freud and his daughter Anna Freud. So the first one is repression, second one is regression, the third one is rationalization, fourth one is projection, followed by daydreaming, displacement, identification, sublimation, and compensations. So these are the important concepts in child development unit. In next episode, we are going to discuss learning chapter, followed by pedagogy chapter. So till CTET examination and TET examination, I will explain important areas through Sakshi Education platform. So try to download Sakshi Education YouTube channel. So be a good teacher, have a bright future. I wish you all the best.